Hey guys, well, you probably noticed recently that I talked about my overall, gave you a 4K updated closer look at my Transformers DVD VHS collection, talked about it, my history with it, especially when it came to the movie, showing you that I have not just the VHS, the Kid Rhino VHS copy of it, but also the Madman Entertainment release of it, as well as the Shout Factory release of it, and the Rhino DVD and Sony BMG release of it as well. Both DVD versions, like I said, the Kid Rhino and the Sony BMG version. And like I said, I have the Shout Factory one as well, the Blu-ray version, and the, like I said, the Madman Entertainment version. I also showed you and let you know that I have the soundtrack on multiple formats. I have it on CD twice. I have the score on CD. I have two versions of the soundtrack on vinyl. The regular version that you would see when it first came out, now re-released, if you will, as well as a special 30th anniversary edition, which had two vinyls tracks on it. I had two vinyls containing the tracks of the soundtrack on them, I should say. And of course, I have it on my Spotify list as well. But I also have one more thing, and I think I briefly mentioned this. I also, VHS wise, besides the Kid Rhino one, also have the recording. I also had, I don't have it anymore, but I also had a recording of the movie that I did off of KBHK on Saturday mornings when they went into that, I guess you could say, fifth season that they did with the Timmy and Power Master Prime puppet. I had that, but it's not the only thing I have of Transformers the movie. No, I actually have the comic adaptation, both versions. That's right, the Dreamwave one and the original Marvel Comics. Don't believe me? Well, let me show you. Okay, guys, well, what you see before you is actually the Marvel adaptation, the original Marvel adaptation of the book, of the movie, as well as the Dreamwave. I think this is Dreamwave. No, IDW. Oh, no, I stand corrected. IDW, yes, IDW, when they took over the Transformers license, actually did an adaptation of the movie, I think in time for the 30th anniversary a couple years ago. So this is basically, I think, when they took over license from Dreamwave. Oh, no, it says 20th. When did IDW do? Oh, IDW had this back in 2007. Did they? Because it says it has an advertisement. Yeah, 2006. So yeah, I have an advertisement for the movie. So obviously they had the license for this all the way back to 2006, and they've been renewing it. Yeah, so IDW's had the Transformers license, believe it or not, for about 14, 15 years now. That's unbelievable. But yeah, so I stand corrected in what I said in the intro when I said Dreamwave, because when I started recollecting and buying Transformer comics, the newer ones, Dreamwave was the primary publisher. And then later on, I think IDW, and I did hear about it, but I wasn't sure about, basically who had published this. I thought it was Dreamwave, but obviously not. So for 14, 15 years, I thought wrong. That was my fault. But yeah, IDW decided, I guess, as an introduction to for fans. What I'm trying to say is, I think IDW, what they did as an introduction to fans, and to the fact that they had the license now to publish the book, they decided to start off, I guess, with the adaptation of the movie in time for the 20th anniversary edition that Sony BMG was distributing. So I think this is one of the first publications of Transformers. I could be wrong. But along with that, but along with this, of course, but along with this, of course, we have the Marvel adaptation because IDW, even though they did this version in 4 parts, Marvel did it in 3. Yeah, these are the 3 original comics of the adaptation of the movie. So here's the first issue right here. And it basically goes through, and it's basically drawn the same way as you would see traditional comics at that time. And oh man, you want to see how old you are? Look at that. Laser Tag. It's still around today, but it's under a different name, I think. Or it still has the same name. So yeah, this was the comic adaptation at the time. It basically is drawn the same way as you had like the regular Marvel comics. So yeah. And then look at that, Saturday morning cartoons. How about that? And I think Sean was right about one thing. Remember those? And this was at a time when you could see this is when they were promoting the new lineup. And you could see exactly which ones they had on there. In fact, they even have, who is that? Brainy Smurf? It looks like. That has a list of the shows they were putting on at that time. So you had Kissy Fur, Foofer, Alvin the Chipmunks, Gummy Bears, Smurfs, Kid Video, Punky Brewster, and One to Grow On. So yeah, pretty cool. And that had Michael J. Fox, I think, as the primary host. So that shows you how old these are. So yeah, you had that. I didn't show you the back because, yeah, reasons, as I've mentioned before. But that was the first issue. And then, of course, we have the second issue, which I've opened already. But when you seal these back up, they like to get resealed. So we have the second issue. And what they would do with these is they would name them. Like, this one was just named Transformers the Movie. But when they would continue them, like this is part 2, they would just go by calling them by titles like the Shaktikans Attack. Because this one here carried like the first 30 minutes of the movie, or 45 minutes of it. And then this one like finished it off. Like Judgment Day as it's called. So yeah, it's just a bunch of advertising. And again, it's a good, decent continuation about it. You got the Spider-Man, Free the Cat Mystery. Remember when they did the crossover with Spider-Man and Captain Crunch? Remember that? And then, of course, you have this. More of these. So, yeah, it's not too bad. I mean, they do add a little bit more detail, like things I think that were originally cut out of the movie, they add in here. So. And I think they add stuff in, they cut stuff out, but. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And if you notice, if these tags look familiar to you, these are actually Mile High Comics. MileHighComics.com is where I got them from. And I got them at a decent price. I was surprised at how affordable they were. I was thinking these might get expensive. No, they were a decent price. So I was happy about that. And speaking of comics, I still got to order issue 3 of Friendship in Disguise, and then eventually issue 2 of season 10 of MLP. And then, of course, we have the third part. And you're probably thinking, man, they only did 3? Well, that was the thing at the time. Marvel, anytime a comic book adapted a show or a movie, or even a miniseries, whatnot, they would always try to shorten it so that if you wanted to fully experience what they were adapting, it would encourage you to go see it, or search it out, if you will. So yeah, and this one's called The Final Battle. And again, that's what the one thing, they would basically chapter them is what they would do. They basically put them in chapters. So and yeah, they added a little bit more dialogue and stuff in there than from the movie, because like this is where I think Hot Rod asks the whereabouts of the Matrix, and Magnus says it's gone, but they added a little bit more dialogue in there. So obviously there was more planned from what we originally saw. And that's basically the thing about comic adaptations or novelizations at times. The books are usually created during the time when the scripts are just being finalized or being looked over. So some stuff that gets into the adaptations, novel or comics, are left out of the movies or left out of the original presentation that you watch on the screen. So there we have issue 3, which wrapped up the Marvel adaptation. And then we have the IDW adaptation of the book, of the movie. A little bit more detail. And definitely a lot more nicer in artwork, I can tell you that. And you could tell that they took inspiration from the movie itself. You can definitely see that, like the assault on the shuttle was a little bit more quicker. And again, you can tell that they took some inspiration from it. And then, of course, it ends in. And what they do, or what they did, is they would take the ending parts of the book, and they would spotlight like an upcoming comic or something like that, or spotlight a character. Like here, they spotlighted, I should say, Nightbeat. So they wouldn't give you like the full comic like, let's say, Marvel did, but basically they would give you a majority of it. They would end it probably around the same way they did, but they would give you a little additional, like, they would give you a side story. Like, again, this had Nightbeat on it. And then here you have issue 2, and it gives you a recap of what's going on, or what's going to be happening, that is. So yeah, it's just basically a decent adaptation, and that IDW did in time for the 20th anniversary. So really great artwork, and again, you could tell they took inspiration from the movie, if you will. You could tell they took inspiration from the movie and applied it to what they did here. And do we get another spotlight here? Yeah, we do. We get a spotlight, I think. Oh no, we get a sneak peek on Escalation. I think I have some issues on Escalation. Basically, it was one of the main stories that they were working on. Yeah. So I have some of the, I think, not just the regular issues, but I have some of the some of the not just some of the issues, basically the trade paperbacks, the graphic novels, if you will. And then, of course, we have this one, which is issue 3. Again, just great adaptation, visually and everything that IDW allowed the artists to do. As I said, taking inspiration from the movie itself, you can see that. It's almost like basically if they felt, I mean, it's almost like all you would have to do is take screenshots and add word bubbles to them. So yeah, and then it ends there, and then an advertisement for the release of the the Sony release of the movie, which was on the Tuesday, the 7th of November in 2006. And then we get another sneak peek at Escalation, I think. Oh no, we just get some advertisements and a throwback to the original Marvel, which they did do. They actually Transformers Generations comic was basically the reissuing of the Marvel stories, or at least their interpretation of them. And you got a release advertisement for the reissue of the classic G.I. Joes. And then, of course, we have issue 4. And I think the big difference that people will say that they enjoy between the two is the fact that they spread out the issue, they spread out their adaptation by an issue. It's what I'm trying to say is, what people would say is a big difference between Marvel's adaptation and the IDW one is IDW spread the adaptation of the movie by out by a couple of issues. So that was cool on their part. And again, just like with the Marvel adaptation, they add more dialogue and stuff, which I guess originally was supposed to be in the movie but wasn't. Doing the final drafts and all that. But again, it feels like they took inspiration right from the movie, with the artwork and everything. Can't really, deny that or anything. So, it's pretty cool. And again, it feels like all you'd have to do, and this is a good image of Hot Rod going into becoming Rodimus. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, it looks like, again, it feels like all you would have to do is take a screenshot from the movie and add it in here. And then here you go. These are scenes right here. So, straight from the movie. Well, not adapted from the movie. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. And then you get big screen Transformers to be revealed in Transformers the movie prequel comics. This, of course, was when they were doing stuff, and then we get a sneak peek of the other license that IDW got, and still has, I think, Star Trek The Next Generation. So yeah, it's pretty cool. So yeah, IDW and Marvel, the only big difference some people would say is the fact that Marvel's adaptation was short by 1 issue, while IDW went all 4 issues. They basically allowed the writers that were adapting the film to expand on it a lot more than Marvel did. So yeah, that's about it, guys. So let me know what you all think down below. Let me know if you have the comic adaptations of Transformers the movie 1986. Zara Nizarak, I'd like to hear if you do. And that's about it, guys. So till next time, God bless. Take care. Stay safe. I'm out.